Hi, I'm Rishma Duty, working in YNR Philippines as an account supervisor. I've been with the agency for 4 years and 7 months.
Okay, so what is account management?
Okay. Account management basically is a department within an advertising agency that that serves as a liaison between the agency and the client and the creatives with the client. So that's basically what account management is all about.
Okay, so what are the process involved in account management?
Okay, basically there are lots of processes or steps required in account management. So first, should you be working in an ATL discipline or above the line, the processes are first you have to actually attend a briefing with the client. During a briefing, the client communicates the communication objective, the target market, the insight that they want to tap, mandatories, reasons to believe, key message, and campaign deadline. Usually, that's what is communicated to us during a briefing. And then after the briefing, we come back here in the agency, and then the accounts write or prepares a brief. In preparing a brief, we actually do researches about the target market, about the category, about all the competition out there. So we have to check if there's a brand or a product or a service out there that already latches on to this particular benefit. So we make sure that whatever the client will be communicating is unique to them, and it's not something that is already being said by competition. And then after that, we brief our creatives. During the briefing, we tell them what is the requirement. We paint a very clear picture about what the client is expecting out of them. The target market, the communication objective, the insight. We make sure that everything is clear when we pass it on to them. And then after that briefing, we set internals here in the agency. So during the internals, it's basically a kamustahan meeting to check progress as to where our creatives are in terms of creative output or materials. So we ask them, okay, so given that this is the objective or what's required out of the agency, what are you presenting? So we take a look at the creatives that they are presenting to us, and then we give them comments or builds for improvements before we present that to client. And if, of course, if it's already polished, we go on to the client and bring with us our creatives, and then and present it to them. And then, so that's basically the ATL process. And then after that, we also have um, weekly project list meetings with our bosses to tell them what is happening on each account. So we update our bosses. For example, if you are an account manager, you report to an account supervisor, an account director, to tell her that this is what is expected out of this week. So it's basically chart stating the deliverables, the next steps, and the status. So basically, that's all about. And then, should you be lucky that your creative materials are approved, it actually goes through a production phase. I mean, that's when we get a director, that we get a photographer. I mean, we get works published. But before that happens, we prepare cost estimates, which client signs, and basically, a cost estimate is what the client has to pay us for the services we actually rendered. So, if it's TV production, if it's print development, if it's, whatever that requirement is. And then after that, we apply to ASC. ASC stands for Ad Standards Council. It's basically an office that actually regulates all the or oversees all the commercials that are materials that come out there in the public, the TV, radio, print. So we have to clear it with them before we actually produce. So we get a clearance to produce, and then we get a clearance to air once we are ready to air by submitting the final material. So that, and then apart from that, what else are the process? We do PL meetings with our creatives to check that their load are workable. Um, and then we also align with our finance through finance meetings. We check our numbers every month before meeting it. And then we also get our VMS or visual media schedule and CE tracking from our media counterparts, because we usually earn commissions out of the materials that we air every month. So basically that's the task of an. Apart from that, I missed that an accounts person also has to know and be able to participate in writing strategies and researches as well. It's not really just the work of a planner or strategic planner. So there, that's pretty it.
Okay, so what is the most important or crucial part in the account management process and why?
Okay, for me, the most important part of the account management process is the production of the approved material. For me, it's the measurement of how do you call it? Measurement of, success of an AE. Simply because you can already see your produced work. So it's really, in one sentence, for me, it's work paid off, because finally your overnights, your sleepless nights are, all worth it, because finally the work that you conceptualize is now going to be produced and then aired. For me, that is the most important part. And because apart from that, it's the time that the company could earn the money already, because the client's supposed to pay you already.
So what qualities should an account manager have in order to get the job right?
Okay. For me, there are a lot of qualities that a successful or a good AE must possess. First, she or he must be passionate. Because if you are not passionate in this industry or in this work, I promise you that you wouldn't really last here. That's number one. Number two, you have to be highly organized. You have to know when your meetings are, when do you have to do the next steps, internals. You have to have a sense of foresight also. You have to anticipate the needs of clients. You don't have to just wait for them to call you. Be proactive. Ask them. Is this something that you consider? So that's one of the qualities that I think are really needed. And then you have to have also a very, very keen, how do you call it? You actually need yeah, I should word it this way. You should be able to absorb a lot of information at the same time, because believe you me, in accounts, we actually have more than 2 to 3, 4, 5 meetings. We don't know in one day, and those are just not for one account. So those are different accounts, different clients, different groups, different suppliers. So you have to make sure that you are able to capture everything on that meeting. And then you also have to be motivated, and you also have to be energetic. You also have to be, you have to have skills of negotiating, because you have to talk to your supplier. So when the client says, hey, it's too high, you have to negotiate with your supplier. Pwede naman, babaan na lang, like that. And you have to be good at numbers also. Account management is not really just about servicing. You have to know your numbers, because you prepare the cost estimate. So you have to know your numbers very well. So I think those are just some. There are a lot, but I think those are my top.
Okay. So how do you get clients?
Okay. In the agency, there are actually 2 ways that I think agency gets a business. First is through a pitch. An agency is invited to attend a pitch or participate in a pitch because of their client portfolio, because of their competitive standing. If they're one of the best agencies in the Philippines. So they're invited to a pitch wherein a client briefs 4 or 5 agencies, and then tells them this is the requirement, and then we present whichever the client prefers or wins the account. So that's one. And then another is, from my experiences, our happy clients give us another set of clients, because they are happy with us. They tell they talk about our expertise, about our relationship with them, and then they pass on new clients to us, who happen to be their friends coming from different industries. So that's another one.
Okay, so how can you assess the customer satisfaction?
Okay, every year, the agency is being evaluated by client. We are called by the client, and then they give us evaluations per person in the team. So we are assessed as to how well we are performing, if we are delivering the requirements, the needs of the client. So there is an evaluation every year. It usually happens once or twice a year, depending on the client. Yes.
Okay, so for the last, how do you choose your accounts?
If you are a junior person, an account manager, you cannot choose an account. The account is given to you by the president, CEO, COO because he or she thinks that you are a perfect fit for the account. For example, if it's a beauty account, maybe it's a woman servicing the account because it's all about beauty. I mean, it's actually like a tailor-fitting job. So, an account is assigned to you. You do not get to choose it. Anything else?
Regarding like, isn't it for getting projects? I mean, for getting accounts. It isn't it? I mean, for the feedback. I mean, so what if it's like a project based wherein it's just a small project? How do they give feedback? If yeah, how do they give feedback?
How do they give feedback? If it's one-time project, I haven't really experienced like a client giving us feedback because an evaluation is really just given because of a long-term, relationship with the client. But we usually, time to time ask them. Whenever we have meetings, hey, is there anything that you need? Is there anything that we missed on? It's something that we always ask as accounts, so we make sure that the client is very happy. But evaluations are usually done, by my experience, by clients who stay with the company for like a couple of years already. Not for those who are just good for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's not really usually that.
Are there like for another question, what are there like prob sorry, I need to repeat it. Are there like usual problems with clients that you have like experienced? Usual problems.
Usual problems. Yeah, of course there are always problems. It's not a perfect world.
But then like what kind of usual problems are
Usually,
there?
the usual problem of account managers, account supervisors is deadline. That's the usual problem because the client gives us a requirement like today and they ask it today also. So that's the usual problem, basically. That's like unreasonable deadlines which you all have to work around with because, it's all about for the business of the it's because of you have to work on the relationship with the client. So if there are things that you can deliver, you can deliver. If there are things that you think that have to wait, you have to talk that out with your client and tell them, hey, we can't submit that because you have n number of requirements we have to finish right now. So actually that's the major problem that I personally experience. In terms of attitude, something that an accounts person has to, accept. When you have a client, you just have to understand and accept. You have to have an high EQ for you to stay in accounts. Because at the end of the day, as I've told you, you can't choose who to service. There. Anything else?
Probably that's it.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome.